So it does this for you. I can, for example, select all of this. I'll disable vocal flex here so we can hear it.
Your silhouette in the skies.
And can go in.
This isn't your voice. You're just putting a pitch and typing a word, and it's...
No, that's not me.
So this is all just purely within this
program, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, awesome.
This little guy here, which is Synthesizer V, and this is kind of huge for literally everyone in EDM right now. This is some of you may know this thing called Vocaloid. For a long time, these programs they weren't really that good at imitating real like singers, or even like just general like American voices or singers. So the company behind, I think, Vocaloid, called Dreamtonics, has sort of made it the mission to create something like that, but for sort of the US or the European market in that sense, or even I think even their own Japanese market as well, because they have Japanese voice models as well. This thing is called Synthesizer V, and it's basically a new type of instrument, I'd say, like a new type of digital instrument. You write your melody using these piano notes here, like in any piano roll, and then you write in the words that you want it to be sung. So you can see I have this melody that goes. That's just the bass note.
Yeah.
And then I can double click these notes and I can write in a word. So part of a, say, phrase or vocal hook or anything like that I come up with. When you type that in, this program will then generate you a vocal line using a specific model that you use. In this case, this is the vocal database Solaria, which I find to be one of literally the best. You actually can find covers on YouTube of her just covering very mainstream songs.
Wow.
Because she sounds so convincing. The interesting part is that you get all of these vocal mode options here that can make her sound more breathy or more passionate or more powerful.
Yeah.
So it's not a one-trick pony, essentially. You can really like model her voice. But generally speaking, that wasn't usually enough, because if everyone was to start using this, you can imagine then we just have sort of a Kara situation where everyone's just using like Kara vocals from Splice.
What, you saying Kara's big? No, just kidding.
In the EDM scene,
she is.
especially
She's massive.
now.
She's massive. Yeah, her pack
especially
is probably
now
the most utilized.
because of Splice, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the issue there is so one thing that one factor that it already eliminates is, even if it's the same voice, it cannot be the same lyrics anymore, right? Because you write them.
Yeah.
You write the lyrics. So if the lyrics are ass, it's a skill issue. Versus if you get a splice vocal, those lyrics have already been written for you by mostly a professional, right? So that's why I mean it's a new instrument, is because it's a new tool that you have to learn and master.
So
you won't be good at this in like from the get-go. You'll suck. But what you won't suck at is a good performance, because this is what Synthesizer V is really, really good at, is performing what you write in there really, really well, especially if you know how to modify all the little things. For example, you can see we have these notes in here, but you can see there's this gray line.
Yeah.
This gray line is AI assisted, and what it does is it sort of mimics what a real singer would have for the pitch, because you essentially have a sample that's being played, so a vocal sample bank. So, for example, there is a sample somewhere in this program that says "your," and that sample can obviously be pitch bent up and down to sound more natural in a context. So it does this for you. I can, for example, select all of this. I'll disable vocal flex here so we can hear it.
Your silhouette in the skies.
And
can go in.
This isn't your voice. You're just putting a pitch and typing a word, and it's...
No, that's not me.
So this is all just purely within this
program, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, awesome.
So obviously I've decided for this melody and these lyrics because I had to come up with them myself. And then as well, you can with a click of a button here, you can generate a new take. So it generates a new take with, as you can see, a different pitch bend for this.
Your silhouette in the skies.
So you can hear that sounds slightly different,
yeah,
right? And then you can decide, hey, maybe I'd like take one more.
Your silhouette in the skies.
I personally do. I find the first take better in this case. You can even go in and you could change the pitch curve yourself if you wanted to. What I still recommend is just to grab any autotune after and just kind of treat it like a regular vocal.
Okay.
But this is already very far, right? If I just play a little bit of this.
Your silhouette in the skies. No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
That's without effects.
Your silhouette in the skies. No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
I do have some processing on this, like spec comp and all that, right?
Yeah.
So if I disabled that, it would sound like this. So you definitely still want to process the vocal.
Your silhouette in the skies.
Yeah. Wow. Spec comp does everything.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
Yeah,
Wow.
you could technically also use something like OTT on this, because usually OTT works quite well on vocals too. But spec comp, once again, is linear phase, so you're not going to notice all of those weird filtering things happening.
Your silhouette in the sky.
Now, this is only plugin number 1. The second plugin is VocalFlex, and this is also something they've been working on. I think they had this figured out from the get-go. They wanted to do this right, like this whole Vocaloid thing, but for European and US. And then they wanted to use AI to then let you transform that vocal into anything else. This is VocalFlex. What VocalFlex does is it's a AI vocal transformer. So what it does is it essentially switches out, it takes a look at the spectrum, once again at the frequencies, and it applies that to a different voice model. In this case, it's a male voice model called Smooth Male C-pop, and it sounds like this. So this is without it.
Your silhouette in the skies.
That's without.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive.
Now with.
Your silhouette in the skies.
It's lagging a little bit because I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, you're fine.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive.
That sounds like a totally different voice.
Yeah, so if I solo this, for example.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
Now, what's really interesting about VocalFlex and also sort of the whole issue of AI is that you can also drag in your own audio in here and create a vocal model from it pretty much in 1 second. If you drag something in here, it'll create essentially that same voice that you can apply.
Wow.
Synthesizer V2. The issue with that is obviously legal implications, right? What if you have some person that's trying to impersonate another person with this, right? That's why acquiring VocalFlex is a bit more difficult. You have to do like an ID verification so that Dreamtonics can make sure that they can't be liable if you do some stupid stuff with this.
That's actually really smart that they're thinking ahead of that, honestly.
Yeah. The other most baller thing that they did is they included 40 licenses for 40 different vocal models in here. Try just getting one from a singer. There's no way.
No.
Like if you think about it, a singer lives on their vocal and the vocal model, their own like vocal characteristic, right? Like usually they wouldn't license this stuff out, and if they would, then everyone would be using them, and then you'd have the same issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now another crazy thing about VocalFlex is that you can, for example, I'll load up another one. Let's do a female one. Let's do husky female R&B. So now I can actually morph between the two.
Your silhouette in the skies. No gravity to hold me or keep me alive.
I'm getting dropouts. I think I can go up a little bit higher on the buffer size. Maybe that'll help.
So you can almost harmonize between these as well.
That's another thing. Yeah, you can absolutely harmonize. Yeah. There's also another huge thing about VocalFlex, but let's see if it's maybe a little bit better now.
Your silhouette in the skies.
There we go.
Better, yeah.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive.
I'll do an extreme example as well here, like the airy female ballad. So I'll go to that one.
Your silhouette in the skies.
Let's do another one.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
So you can really hear how it's really transformed the vocal. And I think there was one in particular that sounded really cool. Well, one that is the most extreme. You can even drag in SpongeBob and have it sound like SpongeBob if you wanted to. But yeah, I had one that was, I wouldn't use this, but maybe even for vocal chops, this would be quite useful. It's a gentle anime female.
Your silhouette in the skies.
You can really hear how like far it can take the vocal from the original.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive.
Yeah.
I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
And what's really interesting, Vocal Flex actually lets you change the pitch. And the idea here is that certain vocal models are recorded at obviously certain pitches.
Yeah.
So they will work better at certain ranges. Especially male vocals will usually work better at lower ranges.
Yes.
In this case, the smooth male C-part that I used sounds really good at this because it's like a falsetto.
Yeah.
But I can put it here and I can take it down an octave and then it sounds like this.
Your silhouette in the skies.
Wow.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
You can tell though, it like kind of starts to break up.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because, you know, like literally pitching stuff down post will always sound worse than you could go into Synthesizer V and just, you know, pitch this all down an octave and it'll probably sound better. So yeah, you could create whole like harmonies with this. If you wanted to, we could do this right now. I can just take this, duplicate Vocal Flex, though Vocal Flex does use 200 milliseconds of latency, so beware.
So it's a powerhouse. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's but it makes sense, right? It makes sense why it's heavy. But we could take like a harsh effect here, so we have backing vocals, and we will make those.
So you're using Nectar as a stereo enhancer?
No, Nectar is just for vocal tuning, so just an auto tune.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah, so the male vocal here is now -12, and then the female vocal will just be the regular tune, and now we have this.
Your silhouette in the skies.
That's cool.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
That sounds
silhouette in the skies.
That sounds
ridiculous.
so good. That sounds so good. I mean, it's not even
No
really mixing
gravity to
themselves.
hold me.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like it's here. It's the time, right? So I have this vocal in a bunch of places here. For example, here as well, and you can really tell. Like you can tell stories now with with your own vocals, or not your own, but like generated vocal, and telling your own story as well. Because I know a lot of people are not so fond of using their own voice, which is just natural.
That's me, yeah. Yeah, that's why I get someone else to do that part. But that's so insane. I'm definitely gonna have to download those.
It feels like magic.
It
definitely
just
does.
feels so freeing as well, being able to like finally have this technology where you're like, I can do this now.
Yeah, and it's also a skill that you have to like build, because like you have to be decent at, lyric writing, and you have to understand like what melodies work and what doesn't. It's exciting because there's only so far you can get with Serum and Faceplan and sound design and stuff. This is a whole new avenue of skill that you can build, and that can be incredibly useful even when you work with artists out of the fact, or like other singers out of the fact.
Yeah, because you can come up with a demo or something like, I think this is the idea, and that helps them with like somewhere to start, a starting point that's way further than where you'd originally start, and not have to waste so much time.
Yeah, or you can just use it straight as a main vocal or like a vocal hook. I mean, you can use it as vocal chops.
You said, side note, you said you could do like SpongeBob or something. Is there a way to add banks, or is there like an analysis? Like if you took your own voice...
I think we can do this for fun for YouTube. We grab this here. I'll have to find the audio file.
It sure is nice driving my 2020 Chevy Silverado.
Squidward.
Hi, Squid.
So let's bring that in.
So you just drag it in.
You just drag it in, and it just analyzes it. Yeah.
And then
I have to
comes
actually
up with
go to processed. Let me. I think there's a way to reset. Yeah, here. Let's reset it here. Yeah. So you just drag in the audio file. It analyzes it way too quickly. I don't know how it does it so fast.
Yeah, that's insanely fast. I was expecting like a large buffer time.
And now we have SpongeBob and Squidward. So it's play it, I guess.
Your silhouette in the skies.
So that's clearly Squidward.
No gravity to...
Well, an octave too high. You can kind of see it here on the range.
Yeah.
Your silhouette in the skies. No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
Nah, that's crazy how fast it does that.
Yeah, and then we can try SpongeBob.
Your silhouette in the skies.
Maybe also an octave lower.
No gravity to hold me or keep me alive. I'll wait for you or I won't survive.
Cool though. That's awesome, dude. Because I just think of it as like someone for like me. I can record some audio so they get like my style of like, you know, how I talk and all that stuff, and then I can create new pre-drop vocals doing this technique. Just think of like different ways you could use that other than like mainstream or just like creating your vocals. Like that's so cool though.
You can also send. Sometimes it gets a bit weird. You can send in other things like glitches or basses, and it'll like try to understand it. Like that, we could drag that in, and then I don't know what comes out of it.
Your silhouette in the skies.
We'll just do some random. I'm gonna go to the drop here, and so I'll load up vocal flex on here, and you'll see it doesn't quite catch everything, but it kind of understands, especially with these basses, that some of it could be considered like a vocal.
Wish I had the old.
It sure is.
Let's try Squidward. But yeah, I think they like Dreamtonics, who makes this plugin, they're not so worried about, you know, people goofing around in it, but most about the people who might be taking, say, you know, Drake's vocal,
Malicious intent, yeah,
stuff like that. And I totally understand that.
No, I think that's awesome. They're proactive.
Yeah, and them going out of their way to give you 40 licenses that you can morph between, it's like, for $200, it's crazy.
So what's a synthesizer V? What's that?
Yeah, Synthesizer V Studio. Yeah.
How much is that?
That's, I think, 150 or something.
So altogether, $350 for creating your own vocals and having your own. Wow, that's as much as a cheap top line.
They have more models as well for synthesizers. So this is Solaria, which I just recommend to everyone because it's just the cleanest, the most powerful.
Yeah.
But they have more if you want to try different ones. You could. But she has such a high range of different types of vocals that I feel like this and Vocal Flex is already enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're sitting like below $400 for essentially an infinite amount of vocal hooks. And on top of that, I think personally, like, even more control over what you want your music to.
I feel like I learned so much from just you going over it now, and the capabilities are, I feel, endless.